Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR Today, June 9th, 2020. I'm the man they call Meathead, and it's Thursday morning, so we are talking about last night's hot wrestling night. AEW Fyter Fest Night 2. NXT Great American Bash Night 2. It's just a lot of wrestling action. Hey, make sure you're, hitting us up on the PWR YouTube, the Facebook, the Stitcher, the Spotify, wherever you're downloading your podcast, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're watching or listening to these. Obviously, you're listening, but you could be staring at the screen. Give a like and a subscribe. That stuff, you might not realize it, but that stuff helps and it counts. Make a comment. Leave a comment. Tell us, tell us where you're listening from, those kind of things. Get some business done for us, and we can get some business done for you. Now, joining me, Matthew Thomas. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning. Coming off the heels, rather. I guess it could come off. It would be very bad if it came off the wheels, but coming off the heels of another exciting Wednesday night of double. What do you want to call it? Double pay-per-view quality action.
Double-ended. Double penetration of wrestling. I mean, whatever you want to call it. Speaking of heels.
That's not exactly where I was going, but okay.
Speaking of heels, have you gotten your heels merchandise yet?
No, I haven't.
Do you know what I'm talking about? AEW.
Are you talking about AEW heels, huh?
Yeah, AEW heels. You can go ahead and get yourself some women's clothing, because I know that you're a big fan of those crop tops.
Well, I mean, the heels would give me a couple of extra inches, so.
All right, enough of that. I know I started it, so I'm going to
height, just to make me a little bit taller.
I wish you were a baller, huh? For those that have never met Matthew Thomas, he's only 3'6".
That's right.
He just graduated from the underwear gnomes. So let's talk about AEW Fyter Fest Night 2. No Mike Tyson, and that's okay. I mean, we thought maybe it was a chance that he'd show up, but he did not. We had a great main event. Let's talk about the matches that we had. We knew about some of the bigger ones, but it opened up with a tag team match. And, it was a phenomenal tag team match. You had Private Party, the team of Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy. I always want to say Kennedy for some reason. It's Cassidy, coming by Matt Hardy. Challenging for the tag team straps. Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page with the titles at stake, of course. And I'll be honest, this is, again, they did it 2 weeks in a row. This is a great way to open up the show. It was a very fast tag team match. Your thoughts, Matthew Thomas?
Yeah, no, it was a very good pace. And, again, I really like the tag team of Page and Kenny Omega. They've been kind of teasing the dissension pretty much since the formation of the tag
before
team.
They won the belts.
Yeah. We never got any of that tonight, though. It was just, pretty much on the same page. No pun intended. On the same page. Especially the finish tonight. Their signature move was especially vicious looking tonight. That always, I really like it. It always concerns me right before they do it, because it's a very, very stiff move there, but looked great and great way to start the show.
Your thoughts on the Murderhawk monster Lance Archer going over the bad boy Joey Janela?
We talked about this on yesterday's program, and I think that I said this was going to be a little more than a squash match, but it was going to be pretty one-sided. Janela got in more offense than I was expecting here. So this was, I think I was predicting it to be like a 70-30 match.
This was a 60-40.
Yeah, it was a 60-40, or 55-45.
Math is hard on the air. Try not to do math on the air.
So, but no, it was more Janela offense than I expected, and overall a really solid match, I thought.
At the end, they made a great point. Once Lance Archer got refocused, the end was near for Joey Janela, and that match was over.
Absolutely, and a very vicious-looking finish, with the table spot outside.
So another clip of Darby Allin practicing the coffin drop. Dude, that had to be 25 to 30 feet.
Mm-hmm. That's some pretty dangerous stuff, but I mean that's kind of what he's known for. Just a little bit of a side tangent here. Did you ever see the episode of The Wrestlers, the other wrestling series on Vice that featured Darby Allin?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Worth a watch. That was actually how I got introduced to Darby Allin. I'd never seen any of his work. That would have been last year, I think, prior to the AEW weekly television launch, but definitely worth checking out.
Okay. All right. So he makes a note and says, Brian Cage, don't think I forgot about you. You're the one who put me out. Darby Allin's a pretty small guy, but I mean, a lot of fight, a lot of fire. Can you see a program with Brian Cage and Darby Allin? And could it be for the AEW Heavyweight Championship?
It'll be fun. I don't think that's where it gets tricky, though, because, I mean, Cage is pretty much brand new on the scene. So, I mean, it would definitely let some of the wind out of his sails, him losing next week, which I still think is going to happen.
Or him even having to put over any kind of offense from Darby Allin.
Yeah. Man, that would be... They'd figure out a way to do it, most likely, and make everybody look good. But that would be an interesting match to book.
So Tony Schiavone, Skivone, as Le Champion calls him, interviews the Machine Brian Cage and the mentor Taz in the ring. I was happy to see. It was weird to see it because on Brian Cage, it looked pretty tiny. That's what she said. But the FTW Championship over the shoulder of Brian Cage. Your thoughts?
I really liked it. It took me a while to figure out what they were going to do there. Here's my question.
You knew it was a belt under there, just didn't know which belt.
Yeah, here's my question to you, though. So I guess that is not technically WWE property. They own the ECW library and trademarks.
That was Taz property.
Yeah, so very interesting that they were, able to do that, which kind of surprised me.
That was Taz property. It didn't belong in ECW. A lot of the guys, when they worked in ECW, probably owned their own trademarks. And when they left, even though Taz went from ECW to WWF at the time, remember, he actually went back and wrestled in WWF as the ECW champion. I think he dropped it to Dreamer at some point. Where he went back, had already debuted on WWE. Or WWF.
But Taz, like we've discussed, doing great work, seeing parallels. Somebody else that's doing great work over on Raw, MVP, really liking, these two people that we've known for years, in those wrestling or commentary roles in the case of Taz, doing great managerial work.
Yeah. Now, technically right now, Taz, we talked about this yesterday morning, that MVP is more over than Bobby Lashley. Technically, Taz is more over than Brian Cage. That won't last. Give Brian Cage a chance to get in the ring and start destroying somebody.
So here's the thing. Has Cage spoken yet? Has he spoken at all?
Once maybe, but who cares?
Yeah.
Really, it's Taz doing the talking, and I'm okay with that. I mean, you had Brock Lesnar do some talking a few times. One time he told Paul to shut the hell up or shut the F up or whatever it was, but we don't need it. He doesn't have to talk. Brian Cage has a chance to be.
Do we know if Taz has officially gotten his manager's license yet?
No, but I'm willing to bet if it's ever questioned, somebody will hand the referee a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Brian Cage has the chance to be up. He's not the Brock Lesnar from UFC, but he has a chance to be that kind of type of guy, this big behemoth that has an advocate for him.
And they are in Florida, so I do have it on good authority that the managerial board there is a little bit more lax.
Well, as long as it's not the accounting firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe who's running the PWR draft. By the way, the AEW Fyter Fest and NXT Great American Bash will not count towards the points in the PWR fantasy draft, which vexes Damian Nelson to no end. So these are Taz's words. This is a championship that no promotion has ever recognized, but wrestling fans worldwide, they recognize the respect for the man who holds this championship, because the man who holds this championship is the baddest son of a in wrestling. And that man is no longer uncrowned. And that man is no longer going to fight for the fallen without a belt, because that man is the machine, Brian Cage. I guess that spells it out that WWE never recognized that belt, so therefore he has the right to put it on there.
There you go. Let me ask you this. What do you think the likelihoods are that they siphon a little bit of that gold plating off to put on the TNT title?
You mean melt it down and then reshape it again?
Yeah, because they've had a hard time with everything going on. That's why there's no plating on the TNT title. So they got a belt.
So did Taz literally just knock the dust off that and put a new bag on it?
That's what it looked like. It'd been in the garage for a couple of decades.
Hung over the top of his Bowflex?
Mm-hmm. Bowflex are on the shelf right below the Christmas decorations.
Wow. Hey, Mox, your ass is done. Who better than the machine? This is the one thing that bothers me, and it doesn't bother me to the point where I get angry about it, but when I hear who better, I think about Canyon, right? Who better than Canyon? Who better than Canyon? That's all I kept thinking about from WCW. The 8-man tag match: The Butcher and the Blade and Lucha Brothers, Pentagon and Ray Phoenix, and the Young Bucks, Matt, Nick Jackson, and FTR, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood. Wow. I think the right thing was done here. You make FTR look strong again. I love watching people try to do super kicks and like pull the trigger, but then pull it back and then pull the trigger again. It's fantastic.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this was the match of the night over both shows. Thought it was a fantastic match. And here's the thing with me personally, a lot of times these multi-man tag team matches can get not tell that of a compelling story, but I thought they made a really good match out of this without making it look like a spot fest. I mean, there were some insane spots, but overall, I thought this was the standout match. Over both shows.
Sure. The stand-up police action goes to our next segment because Big Swole was informed that she was banned from the building, served a letter for kidnapping and harassment. Harassment. But she was walking free. So, hey, by the way, we just think you kidnapped her and harassed her. So it's an illegal action, but yeah, you just can't be in this building. Go ahead and tear up the rest of Florida.
I think Big Swole might be kind of that punch in the arm, that missing ingredient in the women's division with AEW. They've got great talent there, but I don't feel like, outside of maybe Britt Baker, there's a lot of personality coming through. I think Swole could be that shot in the arm. Okay,
well, let's talk about the native beast Nyla Rose in the 2-on-1 match against Kinsey Page and Killian King. I want to talk more about Nyla on the microphone. She says, you know what? All these other talents, they have these managers. I'm going to get me one. I won't tell you who it is, but I'm going to get me one too. What WWE or female legend is going to come in and be Nyla Rose's manager?
Good question. What's Gail Kim doing now?
She's a TNA Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer. What's Tara doing?
Yeah.
What's Mickie James doing besides country music?
Medusa.
Yeah, I don't know. Medusa, it would be more likely. I'd see Medusa.
Yeah. No, it's just kind of you're getting a sneak peek into my brain here. This is just a brainstorm, free flow of information directly from Matthew Thomas's brain to your ears. So I'm landed on Medusa.
Okay, well, don't ever say Deuce and Landing ever again. All right. Colt Cabana looked pretty knocked up there. Severe rib trauma. What? Literally, who gets that bruise and is still ready to go to work?
You mean knocked up in rib trauma and not as in impregnated?
No. Nobody impregnated. Boom, Colt Cabana. It was hot.
I mean, that would be more like Bang Bang Colt Cabana, right?
Something like that. Obviously, you could blame it on the Boom Boom. Brody Lee, Stu Grayson, and Boom Boom Colt Cabana against SoCal Uncensored. Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kaz, and Scorpio Sky. What did you think of this 6-way match?
I liked it. I liked the story they're telling with Colt Cabana. I mean, I was more into it to see what was going to be the outcome there. I thought the match was fine, but I like this kind of slow burn story they're telling with Colt Cabana. So had it been a match without that factored in, I could probably taken it or left it, but I like the story they're telling.
Big Swole gets in, throws the paper at Britt Baker, who, again, was kidnapped and harassed, but she's still allowed in the States, free, just wasn't allowed in the building. The role model, Britt Baker, by the way, Dr. Britt Baker, DDS. How many nicknames do they have? I mean, she's DDS, she's a role model, she's the doctor. She's got a lot of things going right there.
She's not practicing out of Isaac Yankum's office, is she?
Isaac Yankum, probably one of the best dental assistants or dentists in the WWE history, out of all the dentist gimmicks that they had. All right, let's talk main event. Freshly squeezed, as you would see later, Orange Cassidy with the best friends, taking on Les Champions with Santana and Ortiz. I have a bone to pick, but it's a very weak one. Now, we know that my interest with Orange Cassidy comes from his not doing stuff, right?
Right.
Hands in the pocket, the moves that he does with his hands in his pocket, the kicks, the really soft kicks. What is the reason for him to start doing it, to not do it, and then to come back to it? I don't understand it.
That's where you get into...
It's muddy water for me.
Yeah, and you go into these longer matches like that. I mean, you can get by with it in just the fight sequence. Yeah. But tonight was him turning it on from the start, which, it's...
And then he pumped the brakes in the middle.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky storytelling. It really is, and honestly, I think it's tough, man. It's tough when you throw it in the main event and you expect to get some time out of it. Where does that psychology fall?
Right. Don't get me wrong. Still want to watch. Still root. But it kind of got me a little bit. I was a little confused by it. I thought there was a chance, which meant I really was watching a good psychological match.
Yeah.
Thought there was a chance that Orange Cassidy, who was doused in orange, and then poor Aubrey had to lay in the orange juice to do a 2.5 count. So she was drenched in all Orange Cassidy's juice. It's too bad. I really thought that Jericho didn't need to have a win. I thought that he could have survived without the win. But... it's good storytelling. I really enjoyed the storytelling, and I thought that no matter what, Orange Cassidy still comes out strong here.
Were you concerned we were going to get additional ear blood tonight?
I was, because there was a spot where it looked like the bandage came off.
Yeah. No, that was. I'm glad we didn't get that. Extra ear blood would have been a little bit too much. Especially with the little orange juice we had in the ring as well too. It's just
right.
Blood wouldn't have mixed
that acidic mix
that great with that. Yeah, here's and we'll get to it when we go over NXT here in a little while, but it was a little bit, it let me down a little bit that we didn't have that feel good ending to the show, especially knowing what we were getting on NXT. And I get it, you're not going to be able to book like that, with what they've got going on the other brand. But man, and I guess it just kind of tells you how much I'm invested in the Orange Cassidy character.
Right.
I really was hoping for an Orange Cassidy win. And now I could see you analyzing that and saying, okay, this is Jericho. This is your first champion. And the dude in the sunglasses that doesn't care is going to go over your first champion and this, that, and the other. But man, I really wanted it.
Right, which means that we're invested. We care. And that's the difference right now between the WWE product on all three brands and what AEW is doing right now. It is wrestling. It's COVID era, but we were invested. Let's talk NXT, all right? Mia Yim and Candice LeRae put on a heck of a hardcore match. Street fight, if you will.
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, it was all over the NXT arena. We had, they, went outside the ring very early, and one of the, just a picture perfect spot to finish the match. The table on top of the turnbuckle, the fight over the brass knuckles, and that finish into the chairs. I mean, you could not have drawn it up any better. It was amazing.
Amazing work by both competitors. Mia Yim losing to Candice LeRae, because later on in a promo with Johnny Gargano, we had to hear it repeated 3 to 4 times. But Candice LeRae is your winner. Bronson Reed defeats Tony Nese, another match that was kind of added in there. It was a wrestling match, and Bronson Reed looks good, even though Tony Nese, looks-wise, should be doing more.
And he can move off that top rope. A heck of a finish there.
Yeah, he should be doing more, Tony Nese, because he looks the part. However,
who does he look like to you a little bit? Does he remind you of anybody?
Somebody that I'd like to walk with?
I can see that. To me, I get a little bit of a Damian Sandow. type of vibe.
Oh, yeah. Damien Sandow. Come home, Damien. Come home. A Money in the Bank winner, not a Money in the Bank cash-in winner.
Very true.
Do you remember the briefcase that he carried around? It was different than all the others. It was like leather.
Mm-hmm. Was that the first cash-in that didn't turn out the way that they were expecting?
Well, I mean, the first Money in the Bank winner that didn't turn out, because unfortunately, our dear close personal friend, Mr. Kennedy, was a Money in the Bank winner, and he lost the briefcase,
though. Yeah. I'm talking about
Cena cashed in and didn't win one night.
Yeah, that was the one that was pre-announced, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a few of them pre-announced. The first one that was pre-announced is RVD going at ECW One Night Stand and saying that I'm going to take it, and that's how they launched the ECW brand again, the same way they launched it the last time. So Johnny Gargano defeats Isaiah Swerve Scott. It was an announced match. If you have a chance to look at WWE.com, the picture that they have saved for you in the results is fantastic, because it's literally Gargano's left foot in poor Isaiah Swerve's swerve. I mean, literally, it's a boot to the dingling.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually my signature move.
That's also my wallpaper. Is just Johnny Gargano's boot into a crotch.
I mean, why wouldn't it be? I thought this was a really good overall wrestling match. And, like we discussed on yesterday's program, it seemed to, Gargano needed to get a win here, I felt like. And that's exactly what happened. But
keep it going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, a very, very technically sound match, as you would expect.
Absolutely. Legado del Fantasma defeats Drake Maverick and Breezango. Unfortunately, I saw this also going this way as well, even though I'm entertained by Breezango. Again, I wonder why they're just hanging out down at NXT. I mean, with us being in the COVID era, throw them on another brand. Maybe it'll be fun to watch. Who knows? Give me something.
And really, really good storytelling too. I mean, with Fandango selling the leg, the bulk of the match. I mean, that's the thing that we addressed a little bit earlier. A lot of times these multi-man tag matches, you lose a little bit of that storytelling element because, I mean, honestly, in at least as it pertains to WWE, a lot of times they are stuck on there as filler, on a Raw or a SmackDown, or it's some type of preview for a pay-per-view that you're going to get with a random assortment of combinations of people, wrestling. But they did a really good job of telling a story here, across both companies tonight, which I was really excited to see.
Mercedes Martinez with a nice little entrance. I enjoyed it. Defeats Santana Garrett in a solid women's match. Not much to talk about. Like I said, the entrance by Mercedes Martinez was probably the biggest part of the whole match, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, this was a pretty one-sided match, which was kind of the impression that you had with her return, but a heck of an entrance. And we know how important that is.
Let's talk main event. Between the two shows, which was supposed to have Moxley and Brian Cage, and this show was supposed to have Keith Lee and Adam Cole. No Moxley, no Brian Cage, so this was a no contest.
Yeah.
The main event on NXT was obviously outweighing, Jericho and Orange Cassidy, which is a shame because, again, we enjoyed the Cassidy-Jericho match. The winner is going to take them both. The spoilers are already out there. Somebody did an Instagram picture of the celebration with Keith Lee in the ring. Your winner and new world champion of NXT and North American champion of NXT, Limitless Keith Lee. Morrow at the end. It's now NX Lee. How long did he work on that
one? Quite a while, I suppose. Excellent match, and NXT is going all in with Keith Lee. I mean, he's been that meteoric rising star for a while, and I mean, they're going all in on Keith Lee. I'm very interested as to how the two belts are gonna take place. I mean, it's.
Oh wait, we got another 2-belt guy. We talked about it yesterday morning. Becky 2 belts, Sasha 2 belts, Bayley 2 belts. Now we got Keith Lee 2 belts.
Or does he go after another title and it's the Keith Lee 3?
Well, I think he finds our truth and he goes after the 24/7.
Is that really what we're getting? Because I can't make much sense out of him having, both of those titles. But Keith Lee 3, yeah, I think that's what we're going after.
Not to, lessen the impact of this match and how great a match it was. The finish, which saw Keith Lee celebrating in a ring with the confetti, showed Karrion Kross and Scarlett observing from the top of the Full Sail Arena.
Yeah, and I think that's a pretty logical next step. I think it's pretty easy to say that that's going to be the next person that's going after that belt. So I think you can probably
Did Karrion Kross stare at Adam Cole because he had the belt or because he wants Adam Cole?
Yeah, I think that was answered tonight. I think it was answered tonight is he wants that belt. So, okay. Yeah, I think that's definitely where we're going to from here.
Lots of big action, lots of big stuff happening last night on NXT and AEW. Folks, we've got more content coming your way this week. We've got PWR Primetime. We've got PWR. I think there's no WWE pay-per-view this week. Extreme Rules is next week. So next week we've got Beat a Booker with Shane Helms, who continues to beat Dave Hero. I mean, it's tough for Dave, but to be fair, Shane did work there. So, I mean, maybe he knows a little bit about this and a little bit about that. As Dave would say, it's always EPO, entertainment purposes only. What a big morning. All right, thanks for waking up with us. Nothing better than waking up with a little Meathead and sometimes Matthew in your cup. For the man they call Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. Thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.